Hello everyone and welcome to round 3 of our 4th Casuals FFA tournament. We are in IO this time. I'm Blues here with Urand.
Hello.
And
Yeah,
so,
so we had a pretty good map on Mars, and now
and
it's
then,
two in a row.
yeah, Luna decided she hates everyone. This is a power colony with double price power to start, with some garages to help out as well. So that should be interesting.
One key difference from the last game is that the robots are an option in this one.
The other important thing to note is that we have exactly 3
A
carbon
nomadic
tiles.
HQ has been founded. A nomadic HQ has been founded.
And also, electronics and glass are both really low.
Right, 2D back actually choosing not to be next to aluminum to start. I'm gonna ship that in instead, prioritizing the ice and uranium, which is
A nomadic
interesting.
HQ has been founded.
He does have only 2 ice tiles there, so I'm a little confused by why he went for it.
On the
A
other hand,
nomadic
there
HQ
aren't
has been
very many
founded.
ice options that are near anything. Uranium will help him move into power faster, but uranium started cheap, and it's usually not a huge concern if you're using nuclear. It just doesn't rise in price fast enough.
Also, you have to know that
Black Market
Andreas
is
moved
online.
into basalt platforms.
Right, that's going to keep the price depressed as well.
A robotics HQ has been activated.
Adderfield moving into an HQ1 solar condenser. Does work somewhat with the high oxygen price, but leaving it by itself
A
is
nomadic HQ has been
questionable to me,
upgraded.
especially with
The
silicon so
black
low
market
already.
is open for business.
Thanks to 2D back crushing that price, maybe you could have gotten away with a pair of solar condensers, one silicon.
The one good thing about that is that it's a very cheap building to put
An
down with this
expansive
glass
HQ
price,
has
so
been
at
upgraded.
least it's not costing him anything.
Right.
And it does bring in a little bit of money, so he can make it work
Right, it just
somewhat.
could be bringing in more money.
Well, for
Clippy,
sure.
Clippy moving into some nuclear plants. 2D back actually moved into solar panels instead. Solar panels actually making 1.5 power each, which isn't bad at all. They're not gooned though.
He does have quite a bit of debt, so he needs to start mining it early. That is
Right.
going to put him, slow him down a little bit though. He found it first. He is not really that much ahead of anyone else, if at all.
Right. I really liked the idea of Clippy moving into a lot of nuclear. Okay, now he's moving to a second. I guess he was moving into extra steel first to be able to
A
actually build
nomadic
it.
HQ has been
2
upgraded.
nuclear will do great work for him. Andre's choosing to move into 2 geos instead. Always just doesn't feel like the right choice.
It's definitely going to slow him down a lot, I'm afraid.
Right. I mean, the argument for that, I guess, is that water is expensive. Otherwise, there's just no real upside to having geos over nuclear.
Well, nukes don't really consume that much water, so even if it's
Right.
high, you can still run nuclear plants for quite a long while before it becomes a big issue.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. It just isn't enough of an upside. Meanwhile, Clippy, with the 2 nuclear plants, paid off all his debt, making good power money. Oh, only 400 some odd a second,
The
but
black
that is
market
still
is online.
plenty. He can take the HQ3 upgrade. He should take the HQ3 upgrade. Don't know what he's waiting for, but that's okay. He's moving to a 3rd nuclear plant. I guess that's what he was waiting for. That might be a
But
bit aggressive.
it is, I mean, nuclear plants with adjacency produce more than geothermals without, by the way, which is another good reason to go nukes instead of geos here.
Also a good reason why a nuke should be nerfed, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting point, by the way, that no one is producing fuel yet. The fuel's getting quite expensive, and no one's gonna ride this radiation storm.
An expansive
Right.
HQ has been upgraded.
2D-Back and Andreas both picked up carbon pretty quickly, so they both have that option. 2D-Back moving into the ions now, right after the radiation storm ends. Which is still fine. There wasn't a great transition for him to make during that. I guess he could have moved out of some of the solar panels during nighttime. Especially since Io's night is so long, that might have been a worthwhile switch.
Yeah, for sure, and it's definitely time to transition out of solar panels now because power is dead. And I don't think it's
Yeah.
coming back for a while. Even though actually, well, Clippy moved out of power altogether, so I guess if people abandon the solar panels, it's going to climb back pretty quickly.
Maybe. On the other hand, I don't know. Adderfield's still in his 3 solar. Andreas G has the 2 geos. Definitely 2D-Back doesn't need 5 solar panels. I can say that much.
Let the bidding begin.
Yeah, I was thinking just transitioning the 3 he has up north. And the 2 can
Right.
probably stay. Even though I'm not sure, I wouldn't mind getting out of them either. Just get
Especially on
something money
IO,
making.
you have the option of moving into water processors and producing the tiny bit of power from those. They can keep things under control for a bit longer. It's definitely looking about time that people move into those water processors.
Yes, so fuel has been crashed. It can climb back up when the movement processes actually happens, but it's still going to take a little while, even though the colony is consuming fuel.
Right.
And food is just getting out of hand, and you can't really move into food reliably without water, because it's not going to last.
At this point, Andreas G and Adderfield have stopped auto-selling fuel. 2D-Back and Clippy are still auto-selling fuel. 2D-Back has now stopped as well. Okay. So that's good. Most of our players not overselling this fuel. Always want that fuel stockpile on IO.
Adderfield finally gets an upgrade.
A pneumatic
I'm
HQ
noticing
has
he is
been
making the, I think, very common Nomad mistake that I make all the time. Well, now he's not doing it, in that he clumps all the buildings next to one HQ and forgets he actually can put something down at the second one.
Yeah, it's easy to get fixed on. Oh, I need to do all this stuff at one HQ to connect things up and whatever.
Yeah, that is the sort of little challenge that the Nomads provide, different from all the other HQs.
I would definitely like to see Battlefield get into more silicon though, because 3 a second at this point of the game is pretty low. But the rest of his markets are nice. He's in that water, he's in that food. Doing good stuff with that, though he's still running behind 2D-Back. He's also in those markets. But he's also getting frozen.
Nuke, by the way, is a black
Andre
market
G
effect.
choosing to defend himself a bit. Makes some sense. Adderfield and Clippy both have threatening amounts of money, but he should be looking for the upgrade soon.
Yeah, what the nuke does is it
What is he patenting?
cuts the production of a tile. You can use it
He
and
has transparent aluminum queued.
I wonder what goes on.
lower the production of that tile by a lot.
Luckily for him, he finds Clippy's hologrammed patent lab and freezes it. Otherwise, he would have been beaten to transparent aluminum, which is going to be a pretty solid patent this game. Food price off-world already up at 500. Fuel price at 340. So some decent launches.
Yeah, they would have to crash food first to really make it work, but it's definitely possible.
Right. And aluminum nice and cheap, so getting those space elevators up will be very cheap if you can pick up transparent aluminum.
Oh, I don't think I can answer that.
I hate those filthy bandits.
I will say that Andreas G has managed to do something very nice and get a triple mine down with his slant drilling. Maybe not the most useful thing in the world, but it looks nice.
Oh, it looks beautiful. Doesn't get any adjacency from anything, but still. It's
Could have
technically,
actually done-
it's technically a high tile. Actually, it's better than a very high tile, I guess, because it
Right,
brings
he
in
actually could have
3
gotten even
resources.
more. Yeah, he could have gotten even more uranium by shifting this mine one tile over, but he probably had the aluminum down at the beginning.
Yeah, probably just depleted itself. I imagine it was a
Yeah.
higher aluminium tile.
Anyway, what is Clippy up to now? Going for liquid batteries. Will be a solid patent, but where is his oxygen? Oh, right next to him. Only the 2 tiles of oxygen. Same problem with Andreas, only 2
Land is available for
condensers. 2D back, also only the 2 condensers, though he is a nomad. Hatterfield definitely has potential to take over that market. He's in that nice ice field. And he won't be needing to ship as much as everyone else.
I'm definitely happy to see all sorts of advanced buildings pop up. People have a lot of resources and they're a lot more aggressive about their late game ideas.
Right. I'm sure you're especially happy to see this hacker array. Has 4 offices.
I wouldn't have been very happy if there wasn't one. I'm curious about what his options are with the hacker array, because he's a robot, he's not really producing a lot.
Right, there's no market he has that's obvious for that.
I guess maybe iron would be the only one, because the nomads aren't in iron, and Andreas has been running on just 2 basalt platforms, although he has his slant drilling
the mine.
tile, yeah. He doesn't have much of a stockpile, but if I had to make a decision, I'd probably go for an iron hack. He's going for
Looks
aluminium.
like he's right. It might be a bit of a misplay, maybe reacting to the big
black market is online.
spike in price due to Andres' space elevator.
Has been upgraded.
Because everyone does have some amount.
Yeah, this is a very risky play. He can get punished pretty hard here.
Right, if everyone was not yet HQ5, it maybe makes more sense, but at this point they've been HQ5 long enough to build stockpiles. Doesn't
2D
look
back
like he's gonna
specifically
get
is
punished,
sitting
though.
on 200.
Yeah. And 2D back. Oh wait, it was Adderfield that sold out first. 2D back and Clippy still in their stockpiles.
Another problem is it's not really that big of a stockpile in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, and Clippy is the last person to get anything out of it. Granted, 2D back didn't get anything out of it. Just missed the shortage completely.
On the other hand, he now has another opportunity since there's another shortage and Clippy just bought it.
It's maybe a good play, kind of, because he sort of pretended nothing happened and that he didn't have anything.
Well,
Black market
unfortunately, 2D back kind of stalled out at HQ5, got into a ton of debt, and now Adderfield is trying to punish him for that. Don't know if that's going to work out, though. He might get to the buy, but it might just take too long.
Adderfield is sitting on a good pleasure dome with VR, and that's about it.
Right, no optimizations, and that's the big concern for me. Andreas G, on the other hand, has, well, not that many optimizations. Just starting there. But he does have that space elevator, and food has gone down in price. 37k launches, very respectable.
And it's hopefully for him only going to get better and better. Granted, there's not a ton of food production out there,
Right.
and he himself doesn't really have any, which is a big problem.
Clippy is still hacking aluminum. I'm not sure I'm not sure about that one. 2D back also going through space elevator. When you're that deeply in debt, I worry about it, but it is gooned and hologrammed. Might still work out. Andreas G going into Adderfield stock is going to help with that.
It's a good call, definitely. Adderfield was aggressive, getting that 2D back stock, and he never defended himself, so he left himself vulnerable to an attack.
On the other hand, like we were talking about, Adderfield never really established any long-term income. I think there's an argument for letting Adderfield and 2D back continue to fight, and maybe 2D back spirals into more debt. You pick up 2D back super cheap.
That's a good
Adderfield is
call.
not going to be worth that much.
But he has a counterpoint. So if he doesn't go after Adderfield, he goes after Clippy, right? But Clippy's, well, I guess Clippy's sitting on a ton of money, and he finally sold his aluminium. But basically, from Andreas' point of view, he doesn't really know about the hackery, does he?
Right, probably not.
So either well, I guess the holograms are available, so he should at least suspect that he has something going on.
Right, especially after this Hackeray auction so kindly called out that there's this weird building sitting here surrounded by offices. Might be
Just an inconspicuous patent lab. Just
totally reasonable to have that
just
there.
not doing anything at this stage in the game.
But yeah, at this point, doesn't look like Clippy knows what to hack anymore. Andreas G has moved into a ton of stuff, though his aluminum got nuked, so these mines are actually not very good.
Well, they're getting something at least. One interesting point, I think Andreas is going after the buying Adderfield and he's getting really close, but I would be tempted to pick up Clippy's open stock. Because you have a lot of cash, you're probably going to get an Adderfield no matter what, and you can get some of that cheap stock while you still can. While
Well,
Clippy is being careless.
Maybe. At this point, this buying out Adderfield lets you pretty easily snowball into 2D back, and that should clean up the game for you. 2D back actually moving to that second space elevator is interesting. Probably makes sense. I would also just really want him to deal with his debt. Because these 37% interest sticks kind of hurt.
Yeah, that is a problem, and now you have plenty of time to deal with it before the tick happens. But if it does happen, then that's just problems. I will say that the 2D back is trying to do his best to pull himself out of the hole he has dug. He does have two hacker rays for some reason, though.
He's been shorting food, though, which is odd, because he's not producing food.
He's boosting his farms all the time.
I guess, yeah, the synthetic meat farms are helping, but he's also just launching a lot of food off-world. I'm not sure he wants to be doing this. I guess if you don't know how many elevators everyone else has, it might be reasonable. Clippy should be taking this by. 2D back is so valuable. And he has an exposed space elevator.
Clippy doesn't really have anything, I think, that can combat Andreas. Again, he has quite a... he doesn't even have that many optimizations.
Right. Basically, his best chance back into this game would be buying 2D back right now. Either that or hoping 2D back buys a lot of Andreas G's stock and then pays off a lot of debt. But I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm pretty sure he still loses if he does that.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about Andreas G buying into Clippy, though.
Yeah, I think you want to grab 2D back quickly while he's cheap.
So cheap, so valuable.
Successful elevator shipment.
Because Clippy seems very threatening with his 500k cash reserve, but at the same time, so is Studeback.
Right, and the problem with what's going on here is that, sure, Clippy can buy up the rest of Andreas G's stock, make him cheaper for 2D back to finish off, but 2D back is so cheap that Andreas G can just knock out that threat whenever he wants, basically. It's just not going to work out.
I still think that Andreas has a very good chance at winning this, like a very good chance. He's
Right,
complicating it just immensely.
Right. It would have been so much simpler to finish off 2D back first, but he should still have this. His stock price is just that much higher, and he has the full sub.
Space elevator delivery.
Well, I guess one good play that came from those crazy food hacks is that Andreas is not reacting appropriately and still shipping food. Oh no, now he's switching, okay.
Yeah. Although 2D back's launches are still also kind of weird. Iron, I guess, makes sense. The oxygen maybe made sense at the time, but
yeah, it's
right
one of those
now,
awkward ones when you have to switch your auto launches all the time quickly.
Right.
Market misinformation in progress.
I'm gonna take a quick look at what happened with oxygen this game, because voice. Oh, I see. Andres moved into 4. That's why that never got out of control. I didn't realize there was that much ice over there.
Elevator shipment. Profits rising. The space elevator is complete.
That could be one of the reasons why he has been doing so well. Also, the liquid batteries.
Yeah. Well, now things should absolutely be over.
Well, 2D back only needs 300k, actually.
Right. And the interest tick will help. Andreas
Well,
paying off debt.
it will also help Andreas, because 2D back is madly in debt.
Yeah. I think paying off debt was the right move for Andreas G. He should be able to hold on at this point. Probably should have waited longer to buy into 2D back, but that's okay. So this price is collapsing.
So much money. Elevator.
This is actually getting kind of tense. He only needs another 100k to finish the buy.
It is true, but his 2 elevators just finished shipping. It's not in a great position to get that cash quite yet. But if you can hang on that extra 30 somewhat seconds.
He's getting real close.
Yeah. Andreas G, if he doesn't pay off debt right now, he might end up regretting that. Because I think if he can manage to delay one more elevator, he'll survive. But 2D back's going to get those launches before. Okay, he is paying off debt. He's alright. Didn't pay off enough debt.
This is really surprising.
It is very surprising. Andreas G definitely making serious mistakes in the stock game at the end there. Why is he third? Because he... Well, I mean... Oh, I'm actually surprised that he had made less money than Clippy that time. Maybe that's just the debt weighting? But that is interesting. Because he had a huge revenue advantage when Adderfield was bought out.
Yeah, I'm really surprised as well. I mean, Clippy was doing really well. He had a lot of cash on hand. Like the fact that he managed to even buy up Andreas' stock is kind of impressive, but
I still want to see the alternate game where Eclippi buys out 2D back as soon as he's able to. So I think he might have actually won that one. Yeah, I think Andreas actually never producing food at all. That was a pretty big deal. 314k auto purchased, and definitely not making that much money on his launches on food at the end there. Well,
one interesting point is that we were criticizing 2D-Back's food hacks, but if you look at the amount of money they made him, maybe we weren't quite exactly right with that.
I know that the FFA ranks does apply a penalty if you get majority, but it maybe makes sense to give some sort of bonus for finishing a complete buy, but I'm not sure about that. Because in theory, you would also already have a lot of extra income if you're doing those full buys. Weird case.
Yeah, well, I guess we can blame on the imperfection of the system or something. Maybe there's a bug, I don't know.
I mean, actually, business net revenue numbers are also pretty solidly in Andre HG's favor. Where are the let's deal with the numbers in game then.
Well, that is part because he lasted longer, I imagine.
I guess, yes. And I guess 2D back. Why is Clippy up at 1709 over there? That's something I'm not sure about. That's a lot higher than his business net revenue. Very strange. Definitely want to show Phil Fanic later.
I wonder if it has something to do with hacking.
Maybe.
Yeah, someone mentioned it. Oh, right, someone did mention that he maybe doesn't take into account buying cup resources because he sold a lot of resources because he bought like a ton of aluminium.
Maybe. It might also have to do with the stock sales, because he was selling out of Andreas at the end, but that wouldn't be enough of a difference. I don't know. Either way, Andreas had the opportunity to win that game, but